Grognard back, and today we're going to talk about convention games or games done in a certain time frame. Now, used to be, some of you kids, some of you people can still do this, the young adults out there, you'd game all night, all weekend at conventions or at somebody's house or your house. Well, as you get older, there's other pressures on you like job and family and things like that. So you don't have the time you used to have. So basically, we have to block out a stretch of time. Like my game is every other Saturday from 10 to 3, 5 hours. That's what we got. But then again, we have an ongoing campaign. But what I want to talk about is doing a game in a certain block of time, especially for conventions. Conventions run 4 to 6 hours at a stretch, and unless you want to, continue the game somewhere else, like in a hotel room or some other space, you have to wrap it up for the next game to come in. Or other people have other games to get to, things like that. So when you come up with a game, try to think in that whatever time frame you have. Like say you have a 6 hour slot, you can pretty much you can slot a game in 6 hours. I had a little trouble at first with that because how do you know how long something's going to take? Well, you can ballpark it. You can kind of like give it the old ballpark. First of all, this is what I've come up with. As far as encounters go, well, first of all, pregens. I can't stress that often enough for convention games. If you're doing a group, try and get them together the week before or a few days before to do up characters if they're going to roll up their own characters. But in convention, pregens. Have at least, I usually have about 12 pregens. That may be a bit much, but and I usually have X amount of people in my games. So you got to think like encounters. Okay, you have a storyline and you can break it up into encounters. Like I told you before in the other podcasts about writing them. You have the cliffhanger development. So I come up with like 1 to 2 encounters per hour. So that means either one big encounter or a couple of smaller ones. And if it's the climax, it's going to be the big encounter. So that gives you pretty much enough time right there to fit. You can figure out, okay, 6 hours, 6 encounters, or if you have like a mega encounter that could be like cover like 90 minutes, if you have, like they're in the middle of a war or something, which I doubt. You also have to plan some extra encounters just in case. They could blast through whatever you have. They get lucky on their rolls. They get lucky on their magic. You get you get unlucky on your rolls. Yeah, it'd happen. It'd happen. I've had it happen to me a couple of times. NPCs. How many NPCs? As many as you're comfortable with. I'm comfortable with maybe 4 major NPCs. 5 if you push me. Um, you got to plot what you got to figure out how big your cast is going to be as far as like NPCs, because you've got 4 to 5 NPCs, plus you got the PCs, plus you got all the monsters and stuff. That's a lot to run. It really is, especially if you have NPCs that are working with the party, because not only are you running the monsters, you're running the NPCs in the player characters party. That's a lot of paper shuffling. So plot that out, and of course the counter levels, things like that. Um, when you submit it, okay, it gives you a lot of time to think about, how it's going to run. I've got an old convention program here, a North Texas RPG Con convention, plug, and I ran a game in there, and they all pretty much have the standard format for games in here. Now, I can extrapolate from this because I had to submit my game. So basically, what they're going to ask you is for, and this is to me, this is an average con. I've never been to Gen Con. I've been to Origins once a long time ago, and I've been to a few regional cons in California. But this is pretty much kind of sort of standard. If something's wrong, tell me, oldmangrognard@gmail.com. But basically, it goes like this. You submit your name. Now, it says location. That means where they're going to put you in the con. You forget about that. They'll deal with that, but there's something related to it. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, the title of the game. Now, to me, the title of the game is kind of important, mainly because the way I work, because I come up with a title first and then do something around it, unless I have a really good idea right off the bat. So give a little thought to your title. You don't want it to give away too much. I remember hearing that Tolkien didn't want their publisher to call the third book The Return of the King because it pretty much gave the plot away, a lot of the plot away. So think about it. Don't make it too obvious, but make it intriguing. Like, ooh, mine was called The Castle of the Howling Dead for no reason at all, actually. I tried to work the Howling Dead in there, but it didn't happen. Well, it sort of kind of happened. I had him howl a bit. But basically, I took the card game Grave Robbers from Outer Space, which have words on the side of the cards that you're supposed to make a title for the game. So I just went, boom, boom, Castle, Howling Dead. Okay, there's my title. So, and that didn't give anything away. The game system you're using, of course. The number of players you want at the table. I asked for, I believe, 5. 4 to 6. Actually, 4 to 6 is standard. Anything else, you're going to go crazy. Anything more, you're going to go crazy. And also, I was trying. You got to account for I had 2 people drop in my game even before we started. Picked one up, so there's always 4 to 6. It's easier to work somebody else in. I prefer 4. That way I can keep 2 slots open. But that doesn't always happen, so I put 4 to 6. Now, pre-gens and level. Pre-gens, as always, should be yes. Make your pre-gens beforehand. If you're doing an easy system, that's no problem. If you're doing something like champions, well, you got your work cut out for you pretty much. But it's easy to make pre-gens. I made little 3x5 cards that look just like the old D&D character sheet, and I do those up. And I have a whole small accordion file of them, broken down by class, since I'm doing basic. So I hand those out. The level, you got to figure out the level range. Mine was levels 3 to 5. If your game system does the level and class thing, things like champions or GURPS or something, you put a point total. And however you figure out how powerful the characters would be. Mine was 3rd to 5th level. Okay, and the world/setting. If you use your own world, no problem. If you use an established world, then people go, oh, cool, he's running to Forgotten Realms. I'll go to Forgotten Realms. Oh, boy, oh, boy. So, that's, and a description. They give you about 2 lines to describe the game. This is what I call the DM's elevator pitch, because you're doing an elevator pitch to everybody who signs up. Now, some of us don't have the luxury of being well known. I sort of am, because I do podcasts and this, but not everybody can be a Frank Mintzer or Jim Ward. So do the elevator pitch. Basically, give them a 2-line description of your game. That's all. It's a hook. That's what it is. It's a hook to get people interested. And that's how you do it. And then you just, I'll talk later at another episode about what to do when you get to the con and how to set up and things like that, and go over a few other things. But that's how you pretty much, that's the bases you have to cover to do a convention game, or a game set in a certain amount of time. Now, it is nice that you finish the game in that allotted amount of time. If you run short, that's where the extra encounters come in. Okay, if you want to stretch it to the allotted time. I did that with Mutant Future a couple of sessions ago. I ran short. We ended up playing card games for that last hour and a half because I was not prepared, and also I was suffering from a massive headache. So instead of me winging it, I just said, that's all I got for now. Let's go play cards. That happens. Hey, the DM gets under the weather too. Things happen. Um, and you will have, and it's for, you will have dropouts. You will have people who drop out at the beginning of, well, even before the start again. But that's okay. That's why you put the range there. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling right now. So that's what I got for doing games in a set amount of time or at conventions. If you got any questions or comments on this, I would be very happy to answer them at oldmangrognard at gmail.com. And it's just like it sounds. Old Man Grognard. Anyway, all right, that's all I got for now, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.